can you recall a time where like you feel like you didn't have a certain thing, you weren't even projecting for that thing yet, and then the mantras help shape your behaviors to help you accomplish that?
I'm sure there's a lot of people like that. I don't feel like I'm one of those people. And so like I always put out there like I'm gonna have success, and success to me is having the ability to go buy those things.
Okay.
My evidence that I'm not that guy is like in my lowest point, the most I've ever been in debt like was in 2018, and I have like that's when that mantra came, was like my potential is limitless. I'm capable of achieving anything I set my mind to. I'm worthy of success.
Welcome to the Premium Mindset, the weekly podcast where homegrown entrepreneurs and business owners Evan Ritchie and Cameron Bodden share the good, the bad, and the ugly of modern entrepreneurship and reveal what really happens behind the scenes of their personal and professional lives. As owners of two of America's fastest growing and most disruptive companies, Coconut Cleaning and Green Mango Pest Control. Stay tuned for real stories, struggles, insight, and advice from real entrepreneurs in real time.
All right, welcome to the Premium Mindset. Today, I'm going to convince Evan on the importance of daily mantras. And so if you have any interest, if you have questioned if this is a legit thing or not, stay tuned because I'm going to convince Evan on the importance of it. Joey thought it would be funny to do this little roast. You basically like plug your Instagram into ChatGPT and tell it to roast you. Don't worry, I'm not roasting you, okay? But one of the things that he said about me, it says, Cameron gives off retired at 35, but still schedules Zoom calls to feel important. His love language is quoting Alex Hormozy over coffee he didn't make and a house he tells you he manifested.
This is chat?
Here's my bone with you.
Wait, now
remember the last podcast, Cameron was right. A couple weeks ago, I talked about my daily mantras. I was like, Evan, do you do them? And you said no. Why don't you do daily mantras?
So are we talking about this,
we're
or are
doing
we
it,
like
man.
you roasted me?
The roast is over.
The roast is over.
The roast is over.
Joke's
I
on-
believe in daily mantras. I do them. Clearly, ChatGPT knows that. Roasted me about it. I'm just wondering what you don't like about daily mantras and why you haven't applied it to your life.
So the inference is that I don't do them because I don't like them, where I would just say that I don't do them. Here's what I'll say, because this is a big demographic of people that do this stuff, okay? My introduction to manifestation and the public portrayal of them has jaded my view in how I see the effectiveness of them. Like The Secret, right? The book, The Secret. Think of a $50,000 check and it will come. And it's like, and I even mock it a little bit because I just feel like regardless of manifestations, if my habits are not in alignment with the thing that I'm trying to manifest, it's not happening, right? So it's like if I say, I don't know, you gave me yours. I haven't found the importance in them, and I haven't been around someone other than you to see that they work. And I don't know how to do it right. That's what I'll say. And I don't know if I believe, I think that's like, if we're talking like psychology here, if you put on the PhD hat in psychology, I think I have a hard time believing that I am capable of accomplishing certain things. That's why you do that. That's why. But I have a hard time believing that I don't know if worthy is the right word, but like, I think that's it.
Yeah, so it's one of the things that I wanted to talk about it because it stood out to me. I don't know how it came up, and it might have been a month ago. It seems like within the past month, where I was asking like, hey man, do you do daily mantras, or how's your daily mantras, or whatever? Because I just assumed a quality guy like you already did them. Just kidding. And you were like, no, you kind of gave the answer that you just did. And so I thought it would be great to talk about the daily mantras, at least for a little bit on this podcast, because they've been such a huge blessing to my life. And the reason why is exactly what you just said. Like, my story is that the $50,000 check, like, that's not the things that I'm trying to manifest. Right. But the things that I am trying to manifest are the things that I feel like I fall short of. Like you said, oh, I'm not worthy of that. Like, why do you feel that way? We don't need to get into that, but like, those are the very things that have been able to help me like get confidence in what I'm wanting to do. Like, because I've shared the story of when our investor backed out of all the companies in 2018, like, that was a huge blow for me. And that was really, really difficult. And so there was 3 daily mantras that like I came up with, and it wasn't like manifesting like what you're saying, like this certain item, but it was like, one of them was my potential is limitless and I'm capable of achieving anything I set my mind to, because I truly didn't believe in that. And to a certain extent, I don't believe you believe in that. And so whether it's lying to yourself or not, I think that's the power. And so you said, I don't want to manifest that. And I think the very being of you saying, hey, I'm a guy that's being on time, like, you become that guy that's on time because you said you're going to be that guy, and it is now your brand. And I think that's what's so powerful about mantras. And that's what, why I encourage people, coming from 2 guys that really that we weren't very active on our social medias 2 years ago, right? I joke, like, we filmed our podcast for almost 8 months before we released anything. And like, cause we were embarrassed about what we were saying. Like, we were very insecure. And now one of my mantras is around mentorship and like who I want to become. And I just think there's so much value. And so around like who you are. And then as you manifest that you are that person, subconsciously you want to live up to that person. And I think that's where like the huge value comes into play of like manifesting and like your daily mantras on that.
Okay, so hear me out and be honest with me.
I want you to fight me on it, man.
I don't disagree. disagree.
Okay, keep going.
Here's how I can relate it in my head. It's like when Bowflex comes out or P90X, and it's like advertising this like ideal version of how you could become if you use this thing, when the models and people they use for it like never use that to get there. And so for mantras, did this start after the money started coming in, and it started after like you were seeing the evidence of certain behaviors that you just know serve you in the best way, like being consistent, and you had enough evidence in your favor to know that you can go out and accomplish anything that you want to, and then you just started saying my potential is limitless, because you've already seen the evidence that when you go after something, you're capable of achieving it. So are you the Bowflex model that already got jacked and then went and filmed a commercial as if you've been using it? Or like that. Can you recall a time where like you feel like you didn't have a certain thing, you weren't even projecting for that thing yet, and then the mantra has helped shape your behaviors to help you accomplish that?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I'm sure there's a lot of people like that. I don't feel like I'm one of those people, because it's the one thing that I made back in 2011, and you might have remembered it. Our very first office on Golden Key, when I was in that little office, I had the brown desk. On the corner, there's this big house with a sports car out front, a helicopter, and like, it was basically my life now. And it was like, that was the vision board. So I wasn't like,
I don't recall
I'll have
this.
a
You
huge
had that?
house. I wasn't manifesting like I'll have a huge house, but it was like, that was my like a vision. I think a vision board might be a little bit different than like daily mantras. And so like, I always put out there, like, I'm going to have success, and success to me is having the ability to go buy those things.
Okay.
But here's what I'll say with like my evidence that I'm not that guy is like, in my lowest point, the most I've ever been in debt like was in 2018. And I have like, that's when that mantra came, was like, my potential is limitless. I'm capable of achieving anything I set my mind to. I'm worthy of success. Mm-hmm. I didn't feel any of those things. And was it that got me out? I don't know, but it helped me. I had it on my screensaver every single day for over a year of like showing me that I'm worthy of success. My potential is limitless, because like I was so far broken. I went from like, I felt like the captain of the ship, like got this investor, to like, I'm the biggest piece of crap, he backed out and I'm not worthy. And so like, that's what's been great. And then as I have like, and I've changed, like since the sell, I've changed my mantras again. And it's like to go like now it's the next step, you know? And so I don't know. I love it because it holds me. If I'm telling myself, like one of them is like one of the hats that I wear, my mantras is my relationship with God. And so I quote that scripture, like I've kind of made it my own, like not my own, but like to like make it first person, like I'll let virtue garnish my thoughts unceasingly so that my confidence can wax strong in the presence of God. My thoughts aren't always clean, but I'm telling myself, and what I found is like, because I'm saying this literally every single day, when I have a negative thought, the first thing that comes into mind is like, you freaking hypocrite. You're telling yourself, you know, let virtue garnish my thoughts unceasingly. And that's where it's like, you're holding yourself accountable because you're telling yourself who you are every single day. Mentorship, like this is something new the past year for me, of like really like, hey, pay me a large amount of money, let me mentor your business. Like there was a lot of still self-doubt that has crept in from all the companies that weren't as successful as I wanted them to, right? But like one of my mantras for mentorship is like, I have 14 years of business experience and I can change people's lives, both personally and financially. Do I believe, like it was a self-doubt, like, and I'm believing it more and more in this past month, as I told you in the other podcast, like as these guys are willingly come to me saying like, dude, not only have you helped bless our business, but like our lives are completely different. And it was like, wow, dude, this is great. Like I'm actually blessing people's life personally and financially. You know, we made that goal with the 1% Club, like put your phone down at 5 o'clock. I did that more for me than those guys. I know the principle's right, but they're like, dude, my wife is telling me, and it's not like because we're making more money, like that is one component, but she's like, she's happier than we've ever been since I started coaching with you, because like I'm putting my phone down, because I've now created these systems that are in place. I'm not working as much because I'm prioritizing what's important to me, like all the things. And like, so that's when I see like the mantra of mentorship. And so I could go down like the list of all my things, and some of them have come true and some of them haven't. But what I love, and I'm doubling down on it, is like, as you tell yourself who you are, like you have to live up to it. As opposed to that, you know, Tony Robbins says the voice inside your head is the most powerful force, or the voice inside your head is the most powerful force that dictates your life. And so if you're telling yourself that you're not worthy, that, you know, you're all these things, like that's what's reminding you. And so when you go do it a week later, you're like, yeah, like I am a piece of crap. Whereas if you're telling yourself like, have clean thoughts, and you have a dirty thought, like it's like, oh, switch, or just keep going down that path.
I love it. And I'm gonna give you a compliment here. I don't not do mantras because I have evidence in the opposite, right? It's more so, I think you always say we do what we believe. Mm-hmm. And like today, in my mind, I have my very specific tasks that I want to do and get done, and I'm going to do those things. And so like naturally that's going to lead to a good projection down the road. Mm-hmm. But my compliment to you is that if there is one person that I could look to as should I start doing this or not, it is you, because I do know that you live by live by your word. And so even you saying that when you do something that contradicts a mantra, your inner dialogue is like, hey, that's hypocritical. And I think a lot of people have lost trust in themselves to like that inner dialogue is almost self-serving, of like the dialogue would say like, that's a silly mantra, like you're good, like it's okay, or it's fine. I'm not speaking specifically to the negative thoughts, but just more so like, oh, like, hey, I'm a healthy person, or however it looks. And that's going to be my follow-up question after I finish the compliment. But is that you've lived a life in a way that has, like on Wednesday, we had our coconut manager meeting, and it was 8:01, And Cole said, should I wait for Cameron? I said, if it's 8:01, Cameron's not coming because he's never late. And I just knew that because you live by your word. If you're going to commit to be somewhere, you're going to be there. If you're going to help follow up with something, you're going to do it. And so because of you and all of our listeners here, I'm telling you guys that I'll do mantras. But here's my question to you that they might share as well, is that I've never considered mantras to be for physical items like, hey, I'm going to have this house. And I know some people do it. I'm not saying there's a right or wrong way, but in 2018, I'm trying to think of like your life and if it matches up with Mark Fournier, but like, did you get a book? Did you find a framework that you feel is from someone who's extremely successful that said like, hey, this is how mantras should be done? Did you find something that gave you the framework on how to make mantras?
No, I'm reading a book right now. It's called Manifestation.
Two
I think
books?
it's just Manifestation. What?
Unreasonable Hospitality and
Dude, I'm
Manifest?
like 4 books deep right now, man. And like I'm gonna test a principle in it, and I'm almost like borderline. Like, so I'm halfway through the book, and I like it so much. When people sign up for the 1% club, like I send them like a gift box. Like I might put this book in there because
And I cut you off.
Good.
What is it?
I think it's just called Manifestation.
Okay.
But to your question is,
It's a book. It
Do I
opens.
know a
It's
book?
just a mirror. That's why you like it so much. You just sit there and.
what was your question though? Like, do I?
Did you? So like, I guess that's where I would go. Like, so if I'm telling the listeners, I'm telling you, I'll do this. You gave me an example of what you use, but if I were to say the number one reason or a top reason why people stop working out that don't have consistency doing it is like, I understand what it feels like to walk into a gym and do bicep curls, and I don't know anything else to do for my biceps, so I leave. Mm-hmm. And then it's like, well, I don't know what to do. And so if we look at mantras like we do in fitness, and if you go meet with Bryson and he's like, okay, we're not talking about the bicep, we're talking about the patellar tendon right here. So we're going to work out that right now. And he knows the exact feeling you should be feeling as you pull it. Like in mantras, is there a framework or a set of principles that you would advise me and the listeners to use to not do it correctly, but to almost do it correctly?
No, I don't.
Well,
there's
sorry,
this
guys.
thing in the book, and I'm going to test it right now, because what I would say is do what I did, and that is like start with some of the things that you like that are limiting beliefs. So mine was my potential is limitless. I'm capable of achieving anything I set my mind to. I didn't believe that. So what do you call it? Like when you reverse engineer it?
Inversion thinking?
Inversion thinking. So inversion thinking, we could do it with you right now. Like, what are some of your limiting beliefs that you have? Okay, you list them out, like go through them, and then it's like just if you want to, you can. But just reverse engineer them and make it opposite. And so like you're lying to yourself, but again, you're telling yourself of who you want to be and what you want to become. But this book, it talks about there's certain principles around 369, like those numbers. And so like in the morning, they talk about in the morning you write down your manifestation 3 times. In the afternoon at like 12 o'clock, you write it down 6 times. And before bed, you write it down 9 times. And they say that to do that for 33 days. And so I'm going to test it, right? Like I'm testing it right now. One of the things that I'm working on is having like an abundance mentality. Like I feel like I don't have that. And you're such a freaking guy, man. What do you think about when you think about an abundance mentality?
When I think of abundance,
for those that are listening, Evan just gave me a weird look when I said that. So
I was just looking at your wrist.
See, it's not financial.
But so if we're answering honestly, when I think of abundance, the visual for me is like a bucket overflowing. And so if I were to like apply that feeling to, marriage or my kids or business, it's like abundance to me is a general feeling about like whatever aspect of life this is. Like I feel almost more gratitude than any negatives or hard things that come with the thing. It just feels like I'm just receiving so much from it.
Yeah. No,
Go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, I've Yeah.
You're like, abundance is money. So
No, like, yeah, I want to have one of the easiest ways that they reverse engineer is kind of like the inversion thinking that we're thinking about is to think about all the great things that you have today, a car, a family, food, a house, all those things. And just imagine your life without all the things that you're going to enjoy today, your Apple Watch, your cute sweatshirt, all the things that you have. What if you didn't have those things? Like that's the abundance mentality of being grateful for all the things that you have, and especially not like needing to want more. You can want more because it pushes you and because like you want to continue to push yourself and achieve that higher goal, but like be happy with where you're at and all the things that you have down to like the small little things, shoes on your feet.
Okay, walk me through on one.
What's up?
Walk me through on a principle. It's like I'm going to give you something I think might be an insecurity. Okay, so let's talk about like more of the financial abundance. I'm very grateful for everything that I have, and I acknowledge it to be personally from God.
Okay.
I have a hard time making the distinction between seeing what financial abundance does in terms of physical possessions. And I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with that too. So I'm also not saying that, but I see Andy Frisella every morning. He makes a video on his story on Instagram where he goes into his garage and there's like 25 cars to pick from. He's got like 2 Bugattis. Okay. And like, I think that's so cool. But like in my head, it almost immediately shoots back like that'll never be my life. And I don't know why that is. Because I don't think anything of what he's doing is inherently evil. I don't think the video that he posts of his duck in his backyard to his 30,000 square foot house I think it's so cool. Like the ducks are out there, but like my mind almost shoots back to me like, you're not going to have that though.
Do you want that?
This is what I'm telling you is hard for me to say. It's almost hard for me to say, like, no, I want that, because maybe it's an insecurity thing about being perceived as why have all those things when there's so much suffering in the world and there's so much, people are in so much need. And so the thought of like having 2 Bugattis when I could have put that 5 million towards like a charity or helping people out, like I struggle with I want that in terms of like, I know what I would do with some of that stuff in terms of just having fun and having a good life. But there's also this part of me that feels the need to, if I have something to give, I should give it. And there's no reason I should have any of those things in excess. So I struggle with that.
But I think so what is the thing that you want though, that you're not? Because I think that I guess I don't understand. So let's say all that money equated to $50 million.
Right.
So it's like, okay, you might not want the Bugatti and those Ferraris, but you want to be worth $50 million.
I don't know. I guess I don't know. Like that's where I struggle. Is that like
so
I look at those
first
things and I'm like, I'll take that. But then there's a part of me that says like, I mean, he started First Form and it's worth $2 billion. That's why he has that. Like I'm not going to have that stuff. But if I did, like I would hope that I would default back to my feelings of charity and not have things in excess so that I could help others. Like there's a part of me that says like, I don't want to have those things knowing that friends or family are not paying bills.
Yeah. Well, so that would be my mantra is like, so my category is family office. And so I used to
explain that real quick, because I don't think a lot of people know what that is.
What I claim as my family office now is like basically like you have it's literally a business of money, and now you're going out and you're deploying it to all these other companies. And so just like you would with a company, have a CFO and accountants and deal like people that vet deals, like you basically create a business for your personal finances. And so that's what I have now with my family office. And so within my family office is one of my mantras. And I say, I'm blessed with finances beyond my wildest dreams. And for that reason, I'll always consult with the Lord in all that I do. And I used to say, and I had this number that was almost 4 times the amount of money that I made off of green mango. I was like, I will be worth this much one day. And when I've thought about the abundance mentality, I've changed it to say, I have everything I want. I have everything I need. But for the purpose of continue to push myself and continue to grow, like I will be worth this much one day. And so like, that's me showing like appreciation today, but knowing like I'm manifesting this number that I want to have in the future. And I'm looking for, and as I manifest it, I'm looking for opportunities to capitalize and to get that. But if I was you, one thing I'd say is like, as I continue to build my wealth, I'm the most giving, entrepreneur that you could say the world's ever known, if that's what you want, or like I'm the most giving person that, I've ever become, or I support not all charities, but like maybe you identify the charities that you want. And so you put that into there. And so when you get the money, and this is where it's like, you're holding yourself accountable. It's like, okay, when you get that money, you said that you were going to give to a charity. So you better give to your charity or you're just a hypocrite. And if you said this every single day for 5 years, I promise you're going to give to that charity. And you might have the Bugatti as well. It's like, dude, I have my Bugattis and I'm rich and I have all these things, but I also like, I'm one of the most giving persons you've ever met. And I think that's a cool mantra to remind yourself as, another one for me is like my physical body. Like I've been blessed with a physical body. I'm going to take care of it with what I put into it, both physically and mentally. And so when I say that, it's like, I think twice about what I eat. And then like the show, like for the first time probably in my life, like I'm still not great at it, but like I actually think about like what I consume on TV or movies and things like that. Cause it's like, I take care of my body, what I put into it physically and mentally.
And so to the entrepreneur out there who's like, Cameron, this sounds great, dude, but I'm just trying to, but like here, I'll come, I promise
Bring it full circle for us, man. This got a little woogie.
No, but like this, I think I can answer exactly what it is that you're saying. And to what might go through someone's mind is like, Cam, that's great. Like, I'm just trying to make sure that, I pay payroll. I'm just trying to make sure that like this business doesn't go under. And if I can, it's the very absence of these things that has, a year prior, if you would have started, you probably wouldn't be in this position. And so there's no circumstantial position that would merit for you to start at a different time than another. And so if you are in a position where you are having such a hard time to think about what you could do next, it's the very implementation of things like this that it might not get you what you want for payroll next week, but the right thinking and the right habits 6 months down the road, you're not ever going to be in a position again where you are short on payroll again. Is that accurate fairly?
Yeah, I mean, I can't promise payroll, but like, yeah, I mean, I think one of the greatest things that I'm getting even better at now is like not looking at my phone the first hour I wake up and trying to literally put down my phone for 2 hours when I get home. And that's really hard as an entrepreneur. Like that's almost impossible. But dude, it's like those little things are crazy because it just makes you show up that much better when you are going on. Because I also know, and I thought about you the other day, it's like, dude, there's a burnout. And because he's like working, so like, I love that you worked from Monday didn't go to bed till Tuesday, but it's like, man, was he a little bit less effective on Wednesday and Thursday? And maybe he's just catching up on Friday, and you might be a superhuman and, whatever, but it's like, like they're like, that is real. And I don't think that people take enough time to like be in that relaxed, like state. And it is hard, dude. I get that. But to do daily mantras on the car ride to work, like that's all I'm talking about. I'm not saying like you need to do this meditation course for an hour every single morning. I'm saying, hey, when you're on your commute to work, like hit mute, don't call someone, and say your mantras for 20. Like my first 3 mantras, like I could say it in 15 seconds. Like it's done.
I love it.
I care about you. And so like I wanted you to know like how important it is to me. And if you do it, great. If you don't, then that's cool. But at least like I kind of wash my hands like, hey, now he knows how important it is to me. So
I appreciate you sharing that. For the record, I didn't slam a monster before bed to stay up. I just couldn't sleep. Just a little stressed. Yeah. So
I think there's really cool times, some of our greatest moments personally and together have been like working long, late hours. And there's always a time and a season for that, but that's definitely not sustainable,
I look forward, again, committing to the listeners, to you. I'll send to you at least what I come up with.
Yeah.
And in 6
Try
months,
it
you
for
promise
33
I'll
days.
have the Bugatti.
Try it for 33 days. Like, test this out with me, right?
What's up with, okay, yeah, that's
I'll
right,
send you
that's
the
right.
book, like the
Christ
paragraph.
33.
No,
Spirit
it's
of 2 or 3.
369.
I know.
Oh, the 33 days? I don't know.
Lil Jon, 369. No? Please insert a little clip from that song. Okay.
6'9", damn.
Yeah, you know.
Okay, so listen, with the daily mantras, we're going to try this for a month. That's all I want you to do. Commit to it for a month. See how it is. See if you see any change in your life. I know it will, and I want to report back on it in a month from now. And you can choose 3 things. I just want you to choose 3 limiting beliefs that you have. Just reverse engineer them, and the opposite of what your self-limiting belief is.
Done.